Hello fellow overlords and Necron fans and painting fans as well. This video I'm going to show you my technique to painting a Zarkhan Dynasty Hexmark Destroyer. He's a funky looking guy, isn't he, with all these arms and stuff like that. It's been sat in my box for a little while, but I thought I'd take a good opportunity to show you how I approach painting my Zarkhan units. And the first thing we're going to do is get some dry brushing done. Yeah, I'm a fan of dry brushing. So first thing I'm doing, I'm coming in with Screaming Bell, okay? Give it a good shake. And I'm going to try and get this over the majority of the miniature, okay? And I am at the stage where I probably need some more Screaming Bell. Work it into the bristles. And I'm covering the majority of the miniature, okay? This is the basis for my metal. Okay, so I'm not too fussed if it goes on all the other components, all the other aspects of the model. I want to get as good a coverage as I possibly can on him. Okay, so I'm getting there, you know, in between his spindly, spidery legs and all those aspects. Okay, and this is the sort of base coat I put down on all my Zarkhan infantry, infantry models, characters, everything, because I just like them to have that darker sort of undershadow, and this is a really sort of good way of creating that effect. Okay, so I'll keep going a bit more. You see how many Necrons are painted by how little amount of paint I've got left in that part. Okay, so from under there, back of his leg, and what that's going to do is create an instant shadow effect when we come in with the actual sort of Runelord brass. That's it. Something in a moment there. So yeah, just underneath. There we go. Okay, so that's our first step, so to speak. Okay, right there. Lid down. Brush off the excess. See how much paint you keep on a brush from dry brushing. Pretty impressive, isn't it? And what we're going to do now, while that's still drying, the thought I have behind where I paint, I then take Runelord brass and essentially I go over it, but leaving the absolute bottom sort of shadows and things like that. So what we're going to do now, give our Runelord brass a shake. Now we're doing painting there. It's a bit better, eh? A bit better. Okay, and the principle's the same. I'm just going to mix it in. And I'm going from the sort of top down. The idea here is this is where the light will catch and so on and so forth. And I enjoy painting. I enjoy painting my Necrons up. I love them. They're my favourite army by a country mile, as all my friends will tell you. And I've played them for a long, long time as well, you know. Various different editions of the game and so on and so forth. But when they came out in Indomitus, I sort of restarted, and decided to do the Zarkhan Dynasty because I just think they look cool. Okay. So down from the top, and that sort of like gives you that basis of burnished sort of metal, and it gives you that bit of interest, so it's not just one colour. You know, it makes it look a bit more alien, I guess, is probably the way to think of it. Okay, so that's the dry brush stage is done. Easy as that. And do you know what? You could do your green on it and call him done, absolutely. But I'm going to let him dry, and then we're going to come back and hit some more details. Okay, so I'm happy that's now dry. So what we're going to do now, the way I do it, I pick out things like the joints, these little ball things, little connection areas, and I do that in the Canoptic Ally. I love this paint, it just looks great. So, got our palette, my well-loved wet palette, bit of paint on there. So I'm using a wet palette, guys, so it sort of like thins it for you a little bit. And really easy, I'm just going to pick out these balls and whatnot, so all of these little areas of of interest on his legs. Yeah, just again, it's just to break up that one metallic colour. There we go. Getting there, I'll have a little bit more paint on the palette. There we go. Yeah, we'll just go around and pick them out. I do the sort of same component. If there's 3 legs or 4 legs on a model, I tend to do the same bit on each one before moving on to the next bit, so I don't miss them, basically. But nice and easy, and you know, like, we will go underneath still on that side. And then the back of this one obviously is on show. It just breaks up, it just makes a bit of interest. See, yes, it's a metallic robot, but there's not just one colour in there, you know. Got the top there, go across. Just build up the interest on your miniatures. I think that's probably the easiest way of looking at it. There we go. Yeah, getting there. Just to show that they're perhaps made of a few different types of otherworldly alloy or whatever it is. And it just helps sort of break it up to the eye, if that makes sense. There his legs done. You know, like the little hip guard connector things. Pick those out. Moving up to his face. Now I'm going to do the bottom of his face, this colour, because that's how I've done all of my warriors. And around the sides, but then he does have like, I'm going to do like a white panel on the front there, so. Aspect there. And onto his many arms, eh? So if we look at one of his arms, I'm going to pick out the shoulder, just the elbow joints on them all first. And the underside. And this process, obviously I've painted 80 Necron warriors like this, so it's like the process, it works. Take a bit of, maybe a bit of just sat and just working through it, but you know, it will get there, and it's the final sort of process, the final outcome of it. I really like it, you know. At the end of the day, it's if you're happy with your models, that's what it's all about, isn't it? So, under there, but you see I'm doing all the elbows on all of them, so I don't miss one, basically. I've done it in the past where I've painted a miniature and gone, oh yeah, that's really happy, and then I've forgotten to paint a face on somebody or something like that, you know. Okay. At the top of the elbows, where the arms where we can see, I'm going to dot in there as well, because that's the same on my warriors. I do this aspect in the silver in there as well. Very spindly model. I think it looks cool, to be fair. But okay. Yeah, he's getting there. Okay, up his spine thing there. Pick the top out of that. And then we're going to pick out his shoulder pads. And the reason I do that, I've done that on all of my warriors. And it just, again, it just breaks him up. Got a tiny bit of water into that now. It just breaks it up. Okay. And I do the full length of the pad, so I tend to, when I'm painting like a pad, I always start at the back and just drag the brush across the whole bit. And if there is a line, it looks real, if that makes sense. And there at the front, yeah, we're just building up that colour. till we're happy with it. The idea of this guy obviously is an elite sort of choice, and I honestly don't know if he's going to appear in many games, but I want him to blend in, you know? I want him to blend into the rest of the army. I want him to look like he's actually part of the same dynasty, and so on and so forth. There we go. Front there. Slight touch underneath. Okay, so he's getting there. Right, just to sort of balance out the interest, we'll just pick that out just on the highest edge, just for the colour. Okay. And we've obviously got his like ball. They all seem to have a ball, don't they? We'll do the calipers on that in this colour as well. It's just sort of evenly spreading out the colours we're using to break up the main sort of colour. It looks correct, if that makes sense. To me anyway, you know. Hey, I mean, like my first Necron army, I sprayed them black and dry brushed them silver and clicked in a green rod, and that was it, you know. Here we go, we're getting there, look. Okay. So now we're at the stage where we've picked out some interest, broken up that metallics. We're now going to let him thoroughly dry. Ooh, see what I mean about missing bits? Okay, so we're going to let that thoroughly dry and make sure that we're happy with how it looks. And when it is, guys, we're then going to hit it with a wash, and then we'll go back in and highlight the metal, and then it's picking out final details and sort of final finishes. So I'm happy that that's dry now, okay? We've got that sort of different colour panels and different sort of colour undulation on there. What I'm going to do now is going to come in with shade Cryptek Arm Shade Gloss, and I'm going to wash the whole model, okay? I'm going to give that a good shake though, because you do get sediment in washes, so make sure you give it a shake. Okay, some people go straight out of the pot, which is totally fine, but I've just got the lid of my palette here. I'm just going to add a tiny bit of water into mine, okay? I don't know, I just prefer it like that, and I'm just getting it completely all over the model, okay? Into these sort of nooks and crannies first, so to speak. A bit more on there. Bit more dab of water, his arms, and it just makes such a massive difference straight away. It is such a brilliant wash, this, it really is. I'm getting it all over the paneling, just making sure I get it everywhere where I want it, really. Okay. And on your like larger models, guys, like your vehicles, like when I was doing my monolith, I was using this straight out of the pot, so I wanted a more of a sort of like earthed look. Okay, because at the end of the day, we are the resurgent race, aren't we? And, you know, it doesn't come unfortunately, we've been buried for millennia, as they say. So let's go into there. Okay, and I'm not being overly cautious with this, I'm literally just applying it over the whole model, or the whole armour pieces. I'm not going to put it on the cables, obviously, because we're going to be going over them differently. Okay, washes will do such a massive job for you, they really will. And it's just, I don't know, it just gives it that, because it's a gloss, it just gives it that real sort of finished metal look, which, I don't know, I just really like it. And it sort of helps blend together those dry brush layers that we've done. You know, it helps blend together the two different colours that are on there now. It really does. Okay. Don't know if anybody's used a Hexmark Destroyer in the game yet. If they've got any tips for me, please shout them out, you know. I think I'm going to take him when I play Jip. So Jip uses custodes. And he drops in a couple of sort of 5-man guard squads. Those ones just shoot things. I can't remember what they're called now for the life of me. The ones that are like they're like better guard. They're like the special forces guard. So he drops those in to do like plant scramblers. So I think somebody like this, you could drop those in. This guy pops out and just eradicates them all before they can do anything. That's my sort of plan anyway. You know, being able to pop out of his little oubliette or whatever it's called. I think that's pretty cool, and I think he should be able to deal with guardsmen like they're nothing. So, you know, it's best laid plans, as we say. So, okay, so I put it on the shoulder pads as well, and I'm just moving it around a little bit. I don't mind it being dark on there, because the next stage we're going to do a bit of metallic highlighting. The main thing at this stage is that we're covering all of the metal. Okay, so just going back anywhere, making sure I've not missed any, so under his legs and things like that. I know you won't see it, but it's just more just like to make sure I do as good a job as possible. Okay, so that's the metallics, and if you see some places like there, for example, it sort of gives it that instant sort of aged, weathered, alien metal look, which I'm sure that's what Games Workshop were going for when they made this paint. But yes, you succeeded, well done. Yeah, so let's just in there. Okay, so no way around it now, guys. We need to let him thoroughly dry before we come back and do the next stages of highlighting. Okay, so wash is nice and dry. It's giving us that nice sort of effect that we'd expect. But now we're just going to go through and just do some really quick highlighting on the metals. Just make them pop. So straight back to our Canoptic alloy. Shake it up. A little bit back over the top of my wet palette, which is really useful thing, a wet palette, you know. Okay, and all I'm doing here, guys, it's really dead easy. I'm just gonna just give it a little tickle where it was previously. Okay, doesn't need to be excessive. It just gives it that little pop. There's a good example. So on this aspect here, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm just making it go, ooh. Just make it pop out a bit, you know? Don't have to be the neatest thing in the world, it just does add a little something to it. In the middle there. So its face, for example, now I'm going to go down the side of that bit, into the chin, the teeth, just a little bit around the tops. There, so I'm leaving the mask obviously because we're going to do that a different colour, aren't we? In these aspects here, just in those elbow joints, just once over the top of it's enough. Okay, just makes that reflection point. I'm not fully going over everything I painted previously, I'm just helping it stand out a little bit. It just aids with the visual cue on the eye, so to speak. Coming into this side here, the bottom there, top, down. I'm literally just nipping them. There's one there. Yeah. Top of the ball. Yeah, I'm going to go, obviously I'm going on to the ball in a minute because we're going to paint it over it. Okay. Easy as that. Back here. Get a little tickle. Then the shoulder pads. The way I do the shoulder pads, we've got the two flat surfaces at the top that I'll just go over. Okay, and then it's around the curvature there. Around the sides. Flat of the brush across the front. You can see what I mean there, it's just really sort of made it stand out a bit. And we're just going to go around there just a little bit, just to the back. Okay, now if you wanted to, you can do a couple of lines like that. Okay, just helps it sort of stand out a little bit. So that's our collapse sky done. We're now going to come in with our rune lord brass and do essentially the same thing. Dead easy. Okay, so our wet palette. And anywhere where there's rune lord brass. So, for example here, just going to go down the front. Just from the top a little bit to the front. On the legs I do it a bit more sort of bold. And the reason being is I think it just makes it sort of stand out a bit more. So top down on the legs. These aspects I'm just going to go just across the top where the light would catch. Because I don't want to cover up all of the work I've done previously. But I do just want that light highlight, which is, yeah, it's where the light is catch basically. Here, I'm just going to go around. Around this side, same thing. Across the top. Back leg, he's got like a protrusion there, hasn't he? Hips. Across the bottom of those aspects of the rib cage. Across the top here. And I'm literally just picking out where this light would land. Top of the rib cage around there. And then he's got aspects on the arms. Just the lightest of tickles on those. I don't want to overdo it. Okay. Right. He's got like this connection panel aspect there, which I'll just go around as well. Back of that leg just to blend it in. Down that side. There we go. So that is Zarkon metal done. Now the way I do it anyway. Like a burnished look to it. So while that's drying off, what I'm going to do next is start looking at the green glow and the mask and things like that. So the mask's quite an interesting one because it's white, but I'm going to start with Mechanicus Grey. There's two areas I'm going to start with grey, which I'm going to do now. Okay, so again, on my wet palette, and I'm going to paint the entirety of this mask in grey. Even into the little eye dots that I've picked on there. I like the one that looks like a dartboard. Okay, there we go. And then the other thing I want to do sort of like grey. A bit more water into this one. Is the ball. Think to yourself, what are you doing? Why are you painting that grey? All will become clear, promise you. Nice thin coat of grey. Okay. And you could at this stage do the pipes as well. I don't think I'm going to touch the pipes on this. To be fair, the cabling is quite interesting, isn't it? So actually, yeah, we're going to pick out these cablings. Basically what I'm doing here, guys, I'm going over grey first, and then eventually I want to be white. Okay, it might sound ridiculous and like really obvious, but the number of people that don't do this, it would stagger you. It don't have to be the most accurate bit, this, because I am going to use Tesseract Glow, and Tesseract Glow works better with the colour undulation underneath it. It's just one of those things. It's brilliant paint, Tesseract Glow. but it needs the right base. Okay, so I'm just going to have a bit more paint on there. So obviously this green aspect is quite a large proportion of the miniature, particularly in cabling. In the guns themselves, I'll just do it straight onto all white. But for cabling, things like that, it just, I don't know, it just looks better on that sort of multi-layered base beneath it. And if you're using Tesseract Glow, always put it over a light colour. You're not going to get anywhere with it over black. It's just not going to happen. And this is the same for any you can like washing glow effects onto things, or particularly the contrast paint's brilliant, but they need the right underlayer. They really do. You know, I'm from a time when there wasn't really contrast paint. Does that make me sound old? Probably. We're from a time when there was no contrast. And I'm just going around here, picking out the cables. Dead easy as this, really. It's not. It looks a really complicated miniature, but it's not. Not if you follow techniques where the washers do an awful lot of the work for you. So what technique's all about: getting you an effect that doesn't take forever and it's fun to do. And that to me is the beauty of our hobby, you know. Particularly if you not perhaps have the time to paint for hours and stuff like that, you know. I developed a lot of techniques when I was sort of doing commission work and stuff, just because it's, I don't know, time saving, but also a decent look. And I've always liked the realism aspect of painting. I appreciate something like this isn't real. There we go. So that's great. I'm just going to go over the top of the ball again. Just want that as smooth as, really. There we go. So we're going to let that dry just for a brief moment while we come to our white. Now this white just needs a really, really big shake. It always does. It's beautiful paint. It covers really well, but it's like clay. Okay. Water in there. What I'm going to do here, first of all, I'm going to hit these pipes. Okay, and I'm going in the middle. And I know it's a little bit wet still. That's not concerning me. This is almost very basic sort of wet blending. Into the middle of it, guys. I want it to look like there's something flowing through it. If that makes sense. Power. But see, it's not, there's no big secret to it. I'm just literally just brushing into the middle, and where it's a little bit wet, it's sort of doing a blend for me, which is, thank you very much. You know, one even quicker effect. Really basic. Essentially, that's all wet blending is. It's two different colours that are still wet, and you just mix them together with your brush. I mean, you see these people doing 100 different colours on a palette, wet blending, yeah, and that's incredible, you know. And, you know, that's like, yeah, extreme level, isn't it? No, it's be afraid, I'll just give it a go, you know. What I'm looking for is the under highlight for my next layer. We're getting there. Going to go on the inside there. I hope you guys can see this bit. It's just he's a bit spindly, isn't he? So I'm doing exactly the same thing, basically just underneath him. Starting at the points now, the bends, back towards the ball. Inside there, I'm arcing the brush around and curving it around the actual direction that that's travelling. And it just does so much work for you guys, it really does. Yeah, you can achieve so much with just one paint. And you go as far as you want with this. It is your model. It's your decision. Alright. What I am showing you is just how I approach it. Yeah, so you can see it's like building up that gradient. And to be honest with you, the glow paint that we use is so good. You know, it just needs that little bit of help, in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to go under there slightly. Yeah, check. Got the inside of that gun wire there. Okay, so now we're going to hit the ball. Now the ball, to me, there's not really, I want that quite light, so I'm literally just going to work up from the sides. Yeah, because that's like his battery, is it? I don't know. It's the source of his power. So we'll go from the sides to the middle. Okay, and as that's drying, just these areas that we've spotted that we've missed, we'll just go back in and touch them up. Because we're doing the paint is thin, we can just build it up, build that lightness up. Okay. Okay. So I'm now going to get some more white out, and this is where I'm going to base for my just flat glow effect. What I mean by that, things like you have these balls here. I like them glowing. Some people do, some people don't. You know, there we go. Then we've got in his guns 1, 2, 3. Other side. 1, 2, 3. Side here. 1, 2. And I'm not being 100% neat with this, guys, because again, we always apply a bit more of our glow paint than we need. And it sort of catches the edges. Apologies, I'm knocking you out. There we go. Get in there. Okay. Top of the ball. Top of the ball. There we go. Now we may choose as well, just to give these a tickle, just in the middle. Yeah, this really makes it go, ooh. I don't know what's a better way of describing it. Makes it go, ooh. Now for the mask, I think the easiest way of doing this mask is just to go directly over the top with my white. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so that's the white aspects done. We're going to let that thoroughly dry, and then we'll come back and do some glow. While the white is drying, I'm going to take my Corvus black and just pick those details out again, because there's going to be a stage really where I am going to have to leave the models to dry. And so what I'm doing here, quite watered down, guys. I'm going over the top of the base. Okay, going over the top of the base. It's because I've got the undercolours on there, and when I come to do my base, I need a black basis to do that upon. So doesn't have to be. I'm not covering the entire thing here really. I'm going over it with enough so that it's covering the metallics on there. Okay. So I like just age with the look at this colour. If the base is dark and your model isn't, you know, it's basic stuff really. It's got a bit of rubble on there, so we'll just give that the same coating. It's all about prepping the next stage, and this is how you can get through painting models quite quickly. If you think, right, something's drying, I'll do my first base prep stage. Okay. So that's done. One of the things I've done on all of my Necrons, the little ankh, the little symbol there. I've done that as if it's made of black stone, so I'm doing that black as a first coat. And then the guns themselves, I think we're going to do the ends black, just I have black on my other Necron weaponry, you see, so I just want to tie it in but not take away, if that makes sense. Tie in. Talk about just tying your models together. If they all have the same colours on them, it looks like they're from the same force. I know it sounds crazy, but the amount of people that don't do that and wonder why their armour doesn't look uniform, you know? So we're just going to go around these areas, into the guns, and there will be a stage that we obviously highlight this up, but while the rest of the miniature's drying, why not get this bit done? You know, it's batch painting technique, I suppose, is what it's called. I guess that's how I paint. Yeah. It's like a crazy gunslinger, isn't it? As soon as I saw the model, I thought I have to have that. It just looks crazy. Crazy but cool. This is kind of like ruler cool is how I play. There we go. Okay, so that's the black aspects picked out on the miniature as well. So while we are leaving it for last minute to dry, I'm going to give my Tesseract Glow a really good shake, because this stuff separates like you wouldn't believe. And even just, do you know what I mean? Like, you have to really give it a good go. So make sure you give this stuff a really good shake before you use it. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to come back to you. Bit of a difference. So, Tesseract Glow is a, oh, what's it called? Contrast paint. That's right, yeah. So, and it's dead easy really. You just apply probably more than what you think you would need to the area. Okay. And it'll settle around the edges and create that glowing orb effect. Okay, so maybe we've gone a little bit too much there. Take that out, there we go. Pipes. Okay. And this dead easy, guys. I'm just going over where it's white. Yeah. It really is as easy as that. So that it into the nooks and crannies. But the work that we've done with the colours underneath will help this along. Alright. Yes, we're not flooding it, but we're sort of just applying enough just for a smooth finish. Okay, at the top there, obviously, see it's a ball, so it's going to come around the bottom of it, but just take away any excess like that with your brush. But it can also lead to some quite interesting cool glow effects when it goes like into the corners and various bits that perhaps we wouldn't normally get a paint into. Right. It really is as simple as that. I think this stuff's brilliant, and it's been a key component of my entire Necron scheme, force, whatever you want to say. Yeah. Okay, you can see that the work that we do on the colour underneath this has really helped with that. So what we're going to do now is into the guns, and I'm going to be a bit more sort of savage with it. I'm giving it a bit of a loading, because don't forget, when this dries, does contract. You know, it gets essentially less volume as it starts to dry and evaporate. Okay. So can you see how the white pops and we've got that sort of gradient showing through? There we go. Getting there. There we go. Any areas that we see that we've missed? Yeah, so that's my glow effect. Okay, easy as that. However, I mean, I've got his face. This is where I really regret the number of eyes I've picked. Oh god. So obviously I've gone for a smaller brush here, guys. If we get it wrong, it's not a massive issue. So we need a bit of glow, don't we? Get it in the middle. There we go. We'll see how that dries. We can always touch up a little bit of white. So that's his glow. So at that stage, really, I'm going to leave it to dry because I don't want the glow to be interrupted. I don't want to be moving it up and down. It needs to find its own correct level. So we're going to leave that to dry now thoroughly. Before we come back, we'll see if we need to do any touching up. Then we'll do his base. Get in there. Okay, so for the model's base, I'm going to use a variety of colours here. Anything that's got terrain on its base, I try and match it to my terrain because I think it just obviously looks correct. First thing I'm going to do, I come in with Mechanicus Grey. Okay, this is very, very easy step. Okay, onto the brush. Not too fussed about accuracy here. I'm just brushing over the surface. Okay. I'm not being too careful because it's a war-torn battlefield. Okay, I'm going in like that. Round. Done. The next thing I'm doing, Corax White. You might think, hang on, what? Don't need as much Corax White here. All I'm doing, I'm using this to really sort of pick the top out on the dirt. Okay, don't need to be excessive. It's going to add that interest. I've done videos on my basing technique and things like that. Done. The next thing I'm doing, I have a piece of terrain. Now I've done my terrain red, in like Mechanicum, and it actually sticks out quite well. It's like a contrast point. So I've got like the brickwork on there. Going over the top. I'm not too fussed if I'm leaving a bit of black. Okay, and all will become clear in the end. And then we'll just do a bit like that just to make it as if it's buried. Okay. Yeah. The next thing I'm doing is I'm coming in with Runelord Brass. And I'm showing a bit of respect to the scarabs that are on the base. They are there. I'm just using the base colour for my Necrons just to sort of roughly dot over them. Okay. I think there's 2, I don't think there's 3. Shout out if you see another one. There we go. Final base coat for the base, Stormhouse Silver for the metalwork on the grey. Okay. Don't be afraid of bases, just get stuck into them. Yeah, it really is. You know, they are more forgiving than what you think. Match it to what you've done on your terrain, or the terrain, your club, or you know, whatever it is. It just makes it look a bit cooler, you know what I mean? It really does. There we go. So that now is ready to thoroughly dry, and it'll be having a wash. So that's the base of our base done. And as we can see from the guy, all the glow's ready as well. So we're getting there. We're almost ready to finish the miniature off. Okay, so when it comes to the black areas on the Necrons that I've done, like the Ankh symbol, the end of the guns, I do a 2-stage, and I use Dark Reaper first. I like Dark Reaper over black, over Corvus black. It just gives it that off black look, which I think suits Necrons. This again is dead easy, guys. I'm just going in for the tips, thinking about where the light would land. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like it gives it that sort of alien look, you know. Yeah, so that's the gun tips. Now the Ankh, I'm just going to go sort of down from the top. There we go. The next stage I use, and this dries really quickly. If you use the correct amount of paint, it dries fast, you know. The Fang. Now I've had a pot of Fang for a long time, and it really is just a minute dot, and all I'm doing is just, again, to the end, giving it that last sort of highlight, that little tickle. Huh? It makes it look black but not black. So like black but alien. Which suits our beloved Necrons, yes. I'm thinking about where the light lands. There we go, simple as that. Hang on the chest. Done. Okay, so if I was to actually look at the miniature, I'm quite happy that he's done. Okay. We need to now just touch the base up, so it's probably got a couple more minutes to dry. Well, maybe not even that, to be fair, and then we'll come back for the base. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with the base, and it might sound counterintuitive, I'm going to go around the lip of it and tidy it up, because basing is that no ifs, no buts, the way I do it, you are going to have to let your model dry for probably an hour plus. It's just the way it is, guys, okay? So neaten the base up, the edge, go around the edge of your base, it just really finishes a miniature off. The number of people, again, that do a cracking paint job and then just leave that bit, and you just think, oh, you know, it's a 5-second job. Go around the edge of your base. Okay, that's that done. The way that I do bases is, do you remember that we've used our grey and white to create this undulation? I'm now going to come in with Agrax Air Shade. Okay, I'm going to shake it up well, no diluting this, okay, I'm going straight out of the pot, over the top of everything, okay, all that red, all that metal, all that grey. This is the stage obviously that requires drying. Okay, around that aspect, I just put them on a lid or on a, whatever you've got to hand basically. And don't be afraid of overusing this, okay? This is what's creating that sort of, well, that earth shade, as it says on the tin. So you can use different washes as well, guys, quick shades, so on and so forth. I like Agrax Air Shade for this. I don't know why, I just do. I'm not afraid of using a few pots of this throughout an army creation, you know? And there we have the beginnings of our completely finished miniature. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that we've covered all that metal. Right. Like there, I've just tagged them up a little bit, but I'm not that bothered if I'm honest with you. There we go. Okay, so there is no ifs or buts now, guys. Okay, this is gonna have to dry. You can see how we're very close to a finished miniature. Okay, so we'll let him thoroughly dry, then we'll come back to you and we'll put some tufts on him. Okay, so we're at the stage really now where I can pop some tufts on while the final dry is occurring, so to speak. So tufts are dead easy. Bit of PVA glue. Okay, just put it on a flat surface. It's more than enough. Okay, these are Army Painter Wasteland tufts, and I'm just going to apply a couple around the base. Just finish him off. Okay, old brush. Don't use a new brush. Dot of PVA. Okay, dot of PVA the other side. I think I'm going to go for 3 on this guy, and a dot there. Okay, and it really is as simple as I'm going to put a larger one there. Pat it down. Medium one at the front. So I'll pat down. And then I'm going to go for a larger one again at the back. So I'll pat down. And that PVA will dry. Clear. And there you have it. So one painted Zarkhan Dynasty Hexmark Destroyer. Happy how it came out. Quick, simple techniques again. Really sort of drive it forward. The glow effect over the sort of undulated textures works really well. And there we go. So he's ready to add to the Legion. So I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Picked up some tips. Let me know what you think. Let me know what dynasties you're painting. And as always, please like, comment and subscribe. And keep yourselves well and happy hobbying. Thanks, guys.